Hello, everyone. Santier here, and hopefully my microphone doesn't cause problems because it was giving me a little bit of some issue getting started. But this is the Life and Channel update for February of 2025. We're approaching March, which is why that month was on my brain, and I had to take a moment to remember which month it is. So this has been a very packed month, but before we actually get into February, I do want to say I did just squeak out getting the New Year's look back, look ahead article published. Why did the display for the microphone change from showing 2 bars to showing 1? Anyway, hopefully the audio is still doing okay. But anyway, I got that article done, so I'm very happy about that. I just got it done on the 31st, so I was really pushing it to the limit. But I'll include a link to that in the description. Speaking of writing things, let's try to enunciate a little bit. It's been a bit more of a productive month just in terms of me getting things done. I also finished a short little article about the modesty paradox in anime, which is, in some regards, it's meant to be kind of a lighthearted thing. I was originally going to make it a Blue Sky thread, and then I realized it was a little too involved for that. But it did make for a nice short little article, so I was able to get that done. And you can go check that out. I'll include a link to that in the description as well. It's more... I'm not trying to draw any sort of judgments or anything, just a fun little analysis is my goal about the way Doyleist versus Watsonian perspectives. And I define what those are, so if you want to know what those are and you don't know what those are, you can check out the article. But yeah, so I finished that. I also wrote a poem that I wrote. So my church does communion once a month, and I had been asked to do some sort of reading. Hadn't really liked the reading that had been chosen. Somebody else did that one, like read through a quotation, something that's supposed to help people think about and contemplate sort of the significance of communion. So I wrote a poem that was basically me doing that. Like, okay, how would I approach thinking about communion? So I went ahead and wrote a poem that was me doing that. And so I actually read that to the congregation yesterday, as of the time of this recording, which was a little anxiety-provoking, but I think it went okay. But you can read that. Again, a link in the description. There's going to be a lot of those. I also recorded a video that went up on this YouTube channel, which you can go check out if you want to, if you haven't seen already, where I talked about... I brought back the Sharing My Internal Monologue series and talked about basically, like, I want, when people are making a religion for their game, I want it to be well thought through and well grounded. And so I just wanted to find some terms that I feel like have a tendency of just being repurposed. Because, like, people will just grab what they're familiar with, right? But if you're not a religious person and you don't have that sort of experience, or maybe you're not, like, somebody who thinks about it that deeply, maybe you haven't thought about those terms as much, some of the religious terms. So, like, we see a lot of Buddhist and Shinto influences in stuff coming out of Japan, because those are sort of the major religious influences in that region of the world. But in the West, Christianity has been a dominant religious force. And so people will just grab terms that they are familiar with from that and throw them in of like, these are religious language, right? Without necessarily always doing that in a way that indicates they know what those terms mean. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time sort of defining and describing my understanding of those terms. So that way, hopefully, it would help make better world building. That was my goal with it. So, maybe I'll go through the effort of intentionally including that in the end screen. But aside from those things that I've published, I've also started work on... I have a couple of other... Well, I had an article that turned into a poem that I'm working on, and then I have another article that are kind of in my articles queue right now. So I've been working on that some as well. Been continuing to work on my RPG Maker MV game as my eye waters over weirdly. So that's going ahead decently well. Real life dailies have been a really, really good innovation for just getting me to consistently be doing things. Even if I'm not making a lot of progress, making a little bit of progress every day is like pretty good. Highly recommend if it's something that would work for you. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Let's talk about games. So one of the things that I wrote is that I want to play more variety of games. Like I've gotten a lot of games either in bundles or on Steam sales or whatever that I have a tendency to have a few like select games that I spend a lot of time in. Like Elden Ring has been that way, Guild Wars 1 has been that way, Guild Wars 2 has been that way, particularly recently. So I've been playing a lot of Guild Wars 2. I'm looking forward to Night Rain, Elden Ring Night Rain, incidentally. But I've been playing a lot of Guild Wars 2 lately, but I wanted to make an effort to play more other games that I'd, gotten. And so I've been doing some of that. So I played through Flipwitch and Scarlet Maiden, which are definitely not going to be games for everyone. And I've also been playing, and I've beat both of those this month. And overall enjoyed them. And then I've also been playing Cookie Cutter, which is very interesting. I prefer to call them upgrade hunters rather than Metroidvanias because you're hunting upgrades, but it's in that sort of genre, and I've been enjoying that overall as well. So I have been making an effort to play a more variety of games, and I have more that I will be getting to. But so that's been going on. Also, an interesting thing is my church was specifically, we call it planted, but founded is another term that you could use, to be a multi-ethnic, multicultural church. And because we live in a very culturally and ethnically diverse area, and we have a lot of Chinese immigrants in our church, and so they decided, hey, let's teach these people how to play Mahjong. So we had a Mahjong night at my church that I also went to. That was fun. So an interesting game. Like many great games, it is a combination of skill and luck. And so I enjoyed that night as well. So that's another game thing that happened. Just when I'm looking down, I'm scanning the titles of my dear patrons to see, okay, what things did I have going on? Like I purchased a copy of The Righteous Mind by Jonathan Haidt that I'm going to read at some point. I'm actually right now reading through Revelation for the Rest of Us, which has been a very interesting book on the biblical book of Revelation. And it is arguing for a way of interpreting the book of Revelation that is not seeing it as a book of prediction. So what has come to be in the last century or two, the popular way of understanding the book of Revelation in terms of a lay, non-clergy way of understanding it, is the one that people are probably more familiar with because it is the popular one. It is epitomized in books like the Left Behind series that I have mostly not read and have no interest in reading, that is trying to match world events up with things in Revelation to say, oh, this is predicting that or whatever, and when's the end of the world, and that sort of thing. And Revelation for the Rest of Us is arguing for a different understanding that is more allegorical, I suppose one might say, that isn't about future predictions, but about an interpretive lens for understanding the reality and the world in which we find ourselves. So in that sense, references to Babylon are talking about imperial power, and the way that imperial power, the way that comes to dominate and oppress and exploit people. the particularly like economic exploitation, for example. And so you have the dragon, you have that's representing the devil, and you have its beasts representing like imperial power and imperial propaganda, right? Propaganda for the way of the beast that is kind of this exploitative, power-seeking way that crushes other people and the like. So it's been a very interesting read thus far, and I, based upon the, I don't know, 40% of it or something. I'm looking at my bookmark. The book is sitting on a table right over there where I can easily grab it, but not from my desk. But I can see where the bookmark is, so I'm trying to estimate how far I am. Like, I don't know, 40% of the way through or something. But based on that, I would highly recommend it. Incidentally, the John that is the author of this book, which may or may not be the Apostle John, or the disciple, if you want to use the previous term, definitely had a fascination with numbers, and it was just kind of a cultural thing at the time. And the whole 666 or 616, depending upon which translation you're reading, thing, is a reference to Emperor Nero. And that is the argument made in that book, and it is a compelling argument. And so it's talking about perhaps the way empires control the economy, the imperial control of the economy. So anyway, something to think about, since, that number has particularly entered the popular consciousness thanks to the way that people approach the Book of Revelation. And speaking of other things that I've been reading, I've also been reading the light novel version, which is the original version of So I'm a Spider, So What? So I've read Volume 2 and Volume 3, and now having to figure out an interlibrary loan, maybe just buying it, because I've been reading it from the library, Volume 4. But I've really been enjoying the light novel. What's really interesting to me, I'm trying to organize my thoughts here. I tend to think in these like graphs where there's a bunch of like interconnected ideas. I've mentioned this before, but where there's a bunch of interconnected ideas, and I have to try to figure out how to turn that into a linear thing. So I first encountered So I'm a Spider, So What? Based on a friend's recommendation, watching the anime. And then I read like a volume of the manga. And now I'm reading the light novel, and I actually really, really like the light novel. And what I'm realizing is that I don't care that much about the manga version. I'm perfectly happy having the light novel, which is a bit more condensed. I'm happy the manga exists for those who like that, but for me, I don't need that. And there's something kind of encouraging about that in terms of some of my own writing ambitions for the future. So I don't know, just something that I was kind of thinking about of like, okay, what sort of stories do I want to be writing in the future? And like the appeal of that being something that resonates with me in another person's work, so that then encourages me that there would be people that sort of thing could resonate with as well. Okay, let's see, what else? So yeah, I've really enjoyed reading those, and I read through basically like the vast majority of So I'm a Spider, So What? In like a day. Is technically an evening and then the next morning. And then it was out, and then I was sad because it was out. Yes, The Terrible Potato. I'm just looking through these titles, and it's like, Terrible Potato. I was trying to make French fries, like custom homemade French fries or whatever. And so I was cutting up a potato, and the potato was just absolutely awful inside. There's all these weird bits that I had to cut out, and I ate like half of it, and the rest was just like too gross. So something else that I have been doing that I've been really enjoying lately is I've been working on a NeoCities website. For those who don't know, GeoCities back in the day was a web host that people could upload their websites, or like make websites on, upload their websites to. I don't know how exactly it worked because I never used it, but it was a like a really popular place for people to make their own custom websites. And so I've been sort of lamenting the way the internet has gotten lately, where it feels like most things are kind of centered around a few really big sites, which is kind of emblematic of what's wrong in our economy today anyway, where it's like a few big companies are owning, like gobbling up everything. The FTC should really put a curb on acquisitions, but anyway. So NeoCities is actually not a new website. It's been around for, I think, over a decade. But it is sort of taking that idea of GeoCities, of here's a place for people to host simple websites, and it's not trying to be complicated. And so anyway, I discovered it, I guess, sometime this past month, and I've been slowly working on a website there, and I've been really enjoying it. Like, I don't know fancy web design stuff. When I first learned how to write HTML, it was in like the early 2000s, probably early to mid 2000s, and I just knew some tags, and that was good enough for me, some HTML, and so I've been just doing a very like bare bones. This is just text. Like, man, websites used to not be megabytes and gigabytes of friggin' size per web page. They had to be lean because you didn't have bandwidth for anything more than that. And I miss that. And anyway, so I've been working on that. It's still really early. It's just basically going to be like the most elaborate About Me page, but it's what I've had on my heart of something I've been wanting to do anyway. So, oh, there it popped out for a second. So I've just been enjoying doing that. Hopefully the audio wasn't too weird there. But yeah, so I've been enjoying working on that. And at the risk of upsetting my microphone, I even busted out my friggin' HTML reference to look things up. That made me happy. So yeah, I mean, you can just Google stuff, but looking it up in a book, you don't get ads. But anyway, so I've been, as you can tell by my smile, my involuntary smile, I've been really enjoying working on that. So no link for that right now, just because it's in early progress, but you might be able to just guess it anyway. I'm not being obscure, but once I'm happier with the state that it's in, I will be linking it. Let's see, is there anything else that I want to talk about this particular month? I don't know, I feel like it's been a good one. I feel like it's been pretty dense. I've been really enjoying Playframe's playthrough of 1000 Times Resist, which is a heck of a game, and I will not be saying anything about it because it should be experienced. And I tried to summarize it to my sister once on a walk, and that went terribly because, like, it is something that kind of needs to be experienced. So, if you like games that are, it's not a visual novel, but it's in the same conceptual space in that it's primarily about its narrative. If that's the sort of game that you want, or that's the sort of game that you like, I do recommend it. So, right then, I feel like that honestly covers most things from this month. I feel like it's been a pretty good month. It's weird looking through the titles or the little summaries I have for each day this month. It's like, it's been 24 days in this month. It's been pretty short. But I've been like, it feels like it doesn't quite fully cover, all of that. Like, there's been a bunch of Guild Wars 2 stuff. I made a legendary sigil. That was exciting. I want to make another one. I'm looking forward to the next part of the current expansion that's coming out next month. I did a bunch of World versus World to get rewards from that. I've been working on world exploration. I've been having fun with the game overall. I've been enjoying watching various anime. It's been interesting. Like, this is actually this is worth mentioning because I've talked about this before. Like, I have had a tendency to really binge anime, but what's happened is I've kind of settled into this rhythm where I have like stuff that is currently, I don't know, the current season that's currently being produced, that's currently coming out, that I've been following, and so it's like, oh, there's been, a couple of episodes every day that I've been wanting to watch, and that like has something that I've been wanting to watch without being like hours and hours of anime that I've been wanting to watch. So that's been kind of a nice spot. So, oh yeah, we also had snow this month. Yeah, that was kind of earlier on. But that was really nice and really pretty. I really enjoyed the snow. And otherwise, I've been putting magic cards away lately. You can maybe see the piles over there. And that's been a process. Alright, well that's enough of me rambling. It's been about 20 minutes. It's been a good month. Lots of stuff happening. And so until next month, everyone, take care. Goodbye.